I wanted to make a short video on this because I think a lot of small businesses completely misunderstand this topic. And for context, I've worked with over 300 small businesses being under $5 million a year. And almost all of them make this exact same mistake. And I see it over and over and over again. And I see it so commonly still to this day that I thought it was worth me sitting here for 4 to 5 minutes to explain exactly why progress isn't linear. It isn't a linear increase because of statistical irrelevancy of day-to-day and month-to-month fluctuations. And I wish I could send this to every single small business owner that exists because they need to see this and they need to continue to remind themselves about this, because I tell business owners this and then they still say it to me like the next week, which is, if you're looking at day-to-day revenue fluctuations at a business that is sub $2 million a year, it's irrelevant. There's not enough statistical relevancy in a daily revenue figure because of how small your daily sessions is that it's going to produce the same outcome every single day. An example of this is, let's say you have 400 daily visitors and you have a 2% conversion rate. That's 8 purchases a day. What happens if Sally doesn't decide to buy today and she wants to buy tomorrow? Well, now you only had 7 purchases and now your top line revenue dropped and now your conversion rate dropped and everything looks bad. But then tomorrow Sally buys and everything's back up and you had 9 purchases. And so the data sizes are so small at a daily level for a small business, particularly a small D2C e-commerce business, that you should never look at them. And for a lot of these businesses, you shouldn't even look at week-to-week fluctuations. Now, there is a level to where I say you shouldn't even look at month-to-month, and people go, wait, hold up a second. Monthly might be a trend. And yeah, it probably is, it might be. But looking at day and week fluctuations to determine progress is irrelevant. And everyone's probably seen this graph or this graphic, which shows that this is progress, this is also progress, and so is this. And this really encapsulates it down the bottom here, which is that this is what day-to-day revenue looks like. And you should be looking for trends over time, not for small incremental trends on a daily or a monthly basis. Because e-commerce and D2C e-commerce is not consistent. Growth is not consistent, even when you zoom out to monthly, right? E-commerce is a seasonal push. You go through these pushes in revenue and you continue to unlock. And this is honestly even in the B2B space and the agency space and everything, which is that revenue does not go up linearly every single month. And anyone that tries to project revenue like this, they have no idea what they're doing. Because number one, there's seasonal factors in almost every single brand. There's probably 5% of brands where it doesn't occur, but you're going to have Q4 be 40 to 50% of your revenue, and then you're going to have Q1 only be 15%. And if you're seasonal based on your actual product type, it's going to be even worse than that based on the seasons. And so you have to understand that all of your modeling has to take that into consideration, as well as your day-to-day and your week-to-week fluctuations. I know this was a short piece of content, but I wanted to make it so that I could link it to any business owner that says this to me again, and then I can easily show them this graph and the fact that a daily revenue number does not indicate a trend. Even a weekly revenue number doesn't indicate a trend. And I think there's one last point here that's worth making, which is increasing budgets. If you have, let's say, a $10,000 budget a month and you're at a 10 MER, so you're at $100,000 top line, and you then increase budgets by $1,000 to try to see the impact that it has, you won't be able to measure the impact that it has. I'm sorry to tell you. And the reason why is because what is the variance on revenue on a month-on-month basis for that business? And what I mean by that is look at the last 6 months of them doing 100K a month. What was the actual revenue? It was probably 90, then it was 105, then it was 97, then it was 109, then it was 101. So there's this slight variance, but on average, it's 100K, as we can see right here, right? You average this out, it averages to about 100K on this graph, but there is still some variance on a month-on-month basis. There always is going to be. If you increase budgets by $1,000, and let's say you expect a 5 incremental MER on that revenue, that should add 5K to top line. How do you measure that? How do you measure that when you have 5K variations anyway in top line revenue, right? It's going to take you months to see that difference because you have to look at 6-month historical data to even know that your average is 100K. So you're going to have to look at least another 3 months of data to be able to statistically determine whether there was incremental profits driven to the business. And so if you're making 1K budget increases or 10% budget increases on such small amounts of incremental expected revenue in proportion to variance in top line revenue, how do you measure these things? You don't. And that's why I see actually quite often a lot of businesses scale so quickly. I've seen businesses that you look at their back and you're like, Jesus, how did you scale that fast? You went from spending $3,000 a month on Facebook, you're now spending 60. How did you scale that quickly? And the reason they scaled that quickly, one of the components, obviously there's hundreds of reasons because every business can't just do what I'm about to say and go to 60K spend. But one of the reasons is that they were confident to triple ad spend and see what would happen to top line, to be able to verify whether it works or not. Because a lot of these businesses, if they just went, okay, next month we're going to do a test, rather than putting $1,000 into ad spend for the next 3 months and then seeing if it makes a slight difference to top line revenue once we factor out the variance, let's just add 3K in today. Let's add 3K for this month. Let's go from 10 to 13 and let's see what happens. Because if we're correct and we maintain a 4 MER, that will add 13K to top line, so 12K to top line. And we should be able to see that. Even with the statistical variance of like 5K a month, that'll present itself. We'll know whether the ads have done something there. And that's the kind of conviction you have to have in advertising spend changes to be able to measure statistical relevancy quickly and then double down. Because the brand that goes, okay, let's just go to 13K and see what happens, and it works, and they see top line grow, well, guess what? They go, okay, put another 5K. Okay, that worked, put another 10K. And then they can double, and suddenly they're spending 50K a month. And you go, how did they go from 10K a month to 50K a month this quickly? And it's because they had the conviction to see whether the platform actually works and whether there's incremental revenue, rather than going, okay, let's add a K, and then let's like, wait, 4 months. And then, I think that worked. Or did it? I don't know. And you might have just, with the 1K situation, you might have just run into like a bad season where everyone did bad in Q2. And this happens like quite often, right? Is that just everyone's down for a month. And you might have gone up, okay, everyone was down, and now you've gone and made a false assumption or a limiting belief that, okay, Facebook doesn't work for us, or Google doesn't work for us. It's like, okay, but then why are all your competitors spending $70,000 a month on ads and they're 10x your size? Like Google and Facebook work. There is no doubt about it. It's just that you're not doing the right things on the platform to get them to work. Thanks for watching that video. If you want to learn more about BlueSense Digital, click the link in the description below. Reach out to us for a free growth evaluation video where we'll map out how you can achieve your financial outcome goals with your e-commerce brand over the next 6 to 12 months.